In this video, I want to talk about something that every single year I am reminded at just how important it is. And it is something that involves pretty much every single lure that we throw. And that is all about rattles. Rattles can be the difference between catching a bass and having a bass absolutely not interested in your bait at all. And I've talked about that a little bit on the channel, but I want to go a little bit more in depth in a quick video. Now, before we get into it, guys, this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Fin Fishing. Right now on the Fin Fishing website, everything is 25% off for Memorial Day. So if you guys want to pick up one of my USA made sun shirts, I have a number of different colors. I've got sun gloves, I've got bass hats with a wooden bass badge. I have a number of different products. Everything is 25% off right now. So I'm gonna leave some links down below in the description. It is the best way to help support this channel. All right, let's talk about rattles. Now, I have mentioned it a few times on this channel and on BassFishingHQ how important it is, but every single year there are a few situations that happen where it is everything. And this just happened to me the other day. Me and a buddy, we were out fishing together, and the day before I was throwing a top water bait that had some rattles in it, and I had gotten some bites on it, and lo and behold, we were fishing together the very next day, and I am getting some bites on that top water bait, but I am not hooking up with the vast majority of those fish. And I really thought there was something that the fish were just not liking about the bait. But the bait that I was using had a lot of rattles in it. So good thing my buddy, he was using one of our favorite little baits, which is an evergreen JT. This particular type of topwater bait has no rattles in it. And he was able to, he didn't get always a substantially, he didn't get a substantial amount more bites than I was getting on the other bait, but he was hooking up with almost every single fish. And the colors of these baits were nearly identical. So it wasn't like a color thing. It wasn't really even a size thing because they were both the exact same size. It all had to do with rattles. And guys, I've seen this so many times out there on the water. So many times. It's like I said, every single year I'm reminded at how important rattles can be and the removement of rattles can be. So this is one of the biggest things that I suggest is that when you go and you buy, you know, lures, whatever that may be, always try to find a version of them that does not have rattles, because there's just, especially if you fish highly pressured situations like myself. I fish here in Ohio. I'm always fishing around guys that are like always out there on the water. I'm sure you're in the same boat. In those situations, high pressured situations or late into the summer, man, having baits that don't have rattles in it, I think can be absolutely everything. It really, really can. And so when you go to buy a lure, try to find, you know, a substitute for that bait that doesn't have rattles. You know, like for example, if you buy a Mega Bass jerk bait, a lot of them have rattles in them, but you can buy silent versions of that exact same bait. If you like a couple of colors, buy both, because there will be days, I'm telling you, where they will hit the one with rattles without. Crankbaits, 100%, definitely big time with crankbaits. Make sure you have a version that doesn't have rattles or has a lot less rattles than other baits. The other thing though that is really, really important to keep in mind is that sometimes having those rattles is very important. Okay, so, and again, all of this comes down to experimentation. You know, for me, I'm starting to start with lures that don't have rattles in them, and then I start to incorporate rattles from time to time. Another thing that's important to think about is baits that don't normally have rattles and actually adding rattles to them. For example, flipping and pitching. You know, most of the time when we are flipping and pitching, the only kind of noise you're gonna have a little bit is that tungsten either hitting the bottom or hitting maybe the hook on your bait. So sometimes adding a rattle to your flipping and pitching setup. For example, you can take those little tube rattles, shove them up inside of a tube. There's actually even, I'm pretty sure that there are tungsten weights that have rattles in them now too. I know for a fact that there are some football jigs that have rattles inside of them. doing something different. We talk about it all the time on this channel. If you're fishing a bait in a place where a lot of people are gonna fish a similar bait, and all of a sudden yours has rattles and the bass aren't used to that, man, that can also be the difference. This is the reason why bass fishing is so much fun and so much of a headache, if I'm being 100% honest, because you know, you might think, oh dude, we're in a highly pressured situation like I just talked about, but you might find that the bass actually prefer the ones with rattles because maybe it's the springtime of the year and the fish want more sound in that muddy water. So it's all about experimentation. The big thing is that you typically are going to get some bites on a bait with rattles or bait without rattles. It's then about critiquing from there. So like, for example, I knew that the bass were hitting a topwater bait. I was getting bit on my topwater, but I was missing a lot of fish. So I know that the fish are hitting topwater because they were hitting my topwater with rattles bait, but then it comes down to experimenting. Maybe the same thing happens for you with a jerk bait. Maybe you're having fish slam a jerk bait, but they're not really getting it. Maybe it's a silent version already. Try switching over to rattles. Maybe you'll start to see that they T-bone it. I truly believe that having rattles in a bait or not in a bait can be way more of a difference in you catching fish than even the colors of the baits themselves. So guys, I really just wanted to talk about it a little bit more in depth, things that you can do to either incorporate rattles or not. I think that it can be the difference, not all the time, but at times at catching some big fish. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy Memorial Day. I'm going to try to post a video tomorrow. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But guys, thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow, maybe.